2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brannon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us.
When is it time to start getting vulnerable again after betrayal?
Welcome to the Therapy Brothers podcast.
I'm Brannon.
I'm Tyler.
We're brothers.
We're therapists.
And we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
Hey, Tyler, you ready to have some hard conversations?
Let's do it.
Let the Therapy Brothers podcast begin. All right, you guys, welcome back to the show. I have a great guest on today, somebody who's been on this show before. So we're going to catch up with her and just kind of see what's been going on in her life. I do want to say that one of my favorite things that we do is go up in the mountains and find God with a bunch of guys at the Rising Sun conference. So if you're considering it, if you're on the fence, I don't know of anybody who's come who's regretted it. And they're all, usually it's the opposite of like, I'm so glad I actually pulled the trigger and I came. So don't be shy. We know it's weird. We know it's vulnerable, coming up with a bunch of dudes and doing some stuff together. I promise you it's not that weird, and it's life-changing. So head on over to risingsun.com and sign up. So, all right, Janelle, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah. So I don't know the exact number of episode that you were on, but it wasn't that long ago. It was just a couple months ago. If you could just fill us in, what's been going on, what you're struggling with now, and ask any questions you have.
Yeah. I feel like there's a bottomless pit of questions that I have, but hopefully this will resonate with someone. Yeah, since the last episode, it was really helpful, especially hearing it back, to be able to, we talked about my daughter and how as a teenager she was involved in D-Day, and discovering my husband who had an affair with a few coworkers, several affairs. And it's been good to be able to work with her through that. I wasn't sure how to do that, but in the last episode, it really helped to put perspective and be able to work through a lot of that with her, and find kind of that line between, I guess, being bonded as quote unquote victims or working through it together in a healthy way.
Right.
So, so I'm glad that we did have that conversation, and I was able, I'm in a work in progress, obviously, but we're trying to find that good middle ground. But yeah, since then, I guess I just kind of, we've been still working through, it's been almost 2 years since D-Day. And we've just continued to work our healing and our marriage, and trying to get over this the ongoing obstacles that come with infidelity and betrayal. So I've just gotten to this point this last month where this question has come up, and it's been a hard one for me to process. So I decided to call in the big guns.
I'm ready.
Okay. I'm hoping with your help, maybe I can get some more insight. But in our last therapy session, we go to a therapist who does specialize in betrayal trauma and sex addiction, and he's been super instrumental in us being able to slowly kind of build our marriage back. But in our last therapy session, he used a phrase that kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Okay.
Although I know there's truth in it. And the phrase he used was victim perpetrator, which he didn't use it in like a rude way, obviously, but it was kind of eye-opening to me, I guess, because I've been dealing with that, and to put a name on it has helped a lot. But it's kind of where my husband and I have been caught in this dance, I guess, of like him working his therapy and working his recovery, and he's been doing a really good job. Like, that alone is hard for me to say, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
But like, there's not another way I would describe it. He shows up for me. He shows up for our family. He shows up for himself. He's definitely not the same person that he was, 2 or 3 years ago. And, but for me, it's so hard because it's almost because like, some of it I feel like is because I don't know how to show up with him as this new person, maybe. And also he'll come to me and like do things like hold my pain, or he'll even just everyday things like, you look really overwhelmed. What can I help you with? Like things
Mm-hmm.
like that didn't
Mm-hmm.
happen before. And it's like, sometimes I don't want to move forward with him doing those things, because
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if I accept his help or accept his, him showing up in general, that it will make it like, it will feel to him and to everyone else maybe that I'm over everything that happened and
Mm-hmm.
it's all in the past, and it's not a big deal anymore.
Okay. What you're talking about, Janelle, is actually quite common. So you're not alone in the feelings that you're having. I'm going to ask a dumb question right now, but is it a good thing that he's working his recovery?
Yeah.
Yeah. Duh. Right. Yeah. That's what we want. Right. Yay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But it puts you in a bind. It puts you in a kind of a tricky spot a little bit, doesn't it?
It does.
If he were just raging off in his addiction and just not working his recovery and being a total jerk, it wouldn't put you in this bind, because
Right.
you could just be like, well, yeah, see. So it's weird because it's like good thing. I mean, when you just said, when he holds space for me or really wants to step up and help me, I'm sure some women listening are like, oh my gosh, like her husband does that. What? Like, that's awesome. That's good. Right. But then along comes the bind for you. Right. And I just want to say it makes total sense. You've been hurt by extending trust in your relationship. You've been hurt by being vulnerable in your relationship. And so now you're hesitant to re-engage fully in a trustworthy way with him because you've been hurt, right? And also you want to make it known that your pain is valid and that everything's not just swept under the rug, right? So it makes total sense, Janelle. At the same time, it keeps you stuck, doesn't it? Because I imagine you want something different. What do you want other than kind of this dynamic in your relationship?
Well, it's weird because I feel like my first response is like, well, I just want it to go back to how we were. But then when I think about it, it's like, oh wait, I don't want it to go back to that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting because like, what do I want? I mean, I guess I would say I want our relationship to like move forward with, I mean, I want our marriage to grow, and I want our marriage to become more meaningful than it was.
Okay.
And I want, maybe what I want from the past is just that, is again to have like that trust and that vulnerability that was there before.
Okay.
I think I miss that a lot.
So, Janelle, I'm going to tell you something that that you'll know deep down, but might be difficult to hear, which is when we talk about rebuilding trust in a relationship after betrayal, there's a process that goes on, right? And in many ways, the person who broke the trust needs to rebuild the trust. And the way they rebuild that trust is they change who they are from a dishonest person into a more authentic person. And they learn how to show up honest and empathetic and consistent. And they do that over time, right? Now, I've worked with guys who have done that work, and they've gone from being dishonest partners to being that, right? And that alone doesn't rebuild trust in the relationship. So that's what's under their control. They can be honest, empathetic, and consistent. But there's a requirement, that's a threshold that's really difficult for a couple, especially with betrayal trauma, which is he can be honest, empathetic, and consistent over time. The way that you'll trust again, Janelle, is, do you know what you need to do?
No. Maybe.
You need to trust. So that sounds backwards. So the way that you trust again is you have to step into that vulnerable space of the possibility of you getting hurt. Because you'll never know unless you test it in that space. And there's ways all around it of like, well, I'm going to just avoid that deep level of a relationship, or I'm going to start a fight here and push him away that way, or whatever I can do to avoid that space where I'm falling deeper in love with him, where intimacy is a possibility. Because you won't really know his strength and his ability to really, truly know you and empathize with you and connect with you unless you open up. And it's one of the more difficult things to say to a partner who's been betrayed, because it sucks. In my group, I used to show this video of this guy who pushes his girlfriend off a cliff. She's tied to a rope, and so she falls off this cliff and she yells, "I'm breaking up with you." And I show that video, and then I ask the group, I'm like, why would she ever go stand next to him on top of that cliff ever again? Why would she ever even start climbing up that cliff to stand next to him again? He just pushed her off. Like, she probably doesn't want to do that. Yet in a marriage and in a relationship, and with what you just said you wanted, Janelle, you got to climb back up that cliff and stand there next to him again in order to know whether or not he's going to push you off. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do not like that.
Not fun, huh? That sucks. But it's the only way.
Sorry, yeah. Just the thought of, I think you said it perfectly. Like, I just, sorry, I have allergies too, so my voice is horrible, but
it's okay.
Yeah, just like what you said, I think hits it right on the nail with, I've been looking for, like, how do I know though that I'm not going to, like, get hurt again, or that something's not gonna come up or happen again. In this case, like, you know, with like having an affair or something, and I guess that just hits me hard. Like, the fact is, like, I don't know, and I don't think anyone does.
Right. Like, here's the thing, Janelle. Some people extend trust way too soon and way too easy. So, like, a lot of the times I'll work with partners where their partner's not working a recovery at all, still very much likely to hurt them again, right? And what we work on is them really fortifying themselves in their own safety, because their partner is dangerous in terms of emotional and however dangerous they are to hurt them, right?
Right.
So their work is actually to create some space in order to be safe, regardless of what their partner does, right? But when a partner starts to work a recovery and you see that recovery, you need to know what to look for. What is genuine recovery, right? And so you can get that. And I talk about this all the time of, you know, is he patient and empathetic with your pain? Is he consistent with his actions and behaviors? Is he connected to the household needs? Is he rigorously honest despite the consequences, that he can own who he is and be honest, right? Is he proactive in his own recovery? And, you know, you're not driving the ship. So those are the things that you kind of look for to see, you know, is he doing those things? Now, if he is doing those things, then he's a man unto himself working his recovery. And now the onus gets put onto you in terms of your recovery and your work on the relationship, right? So you educate yourself and you understand what those things look like and what those things are. And then, and this, there is no way around the possibility that you could get hurt again. That's why we call it vulnerability. right? Because you are vulnerable. And it's kind of this weird thing. I don't know why God set it up this way. The way that you know you're safe and trusted and loved and vulnerable in a relationship is by having the possibility that you could get hurt. Kind of messed up if you think about it, huh, Janelle?
Yeah.
But if that possibility of getting hurt wasn't there, then you wouldn't know whether he's trustworthy or not, right? You see what I'm saying? And so your job is to educate yourself about recovery, kind of watch and see what he's doing. And then your other job, when you see that he is doing those things, is to look at yourself and say, okay, I'm going to face this fear, face this fear of the unknown, face this possibility of getting hurt again, and ask myself, in what ways do I hedge against that fear? And how can I act opposite to that? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are some things you can do, Janelle, that are different than running away and not being vulnerable with him?
Well, it was actually a couple days ago. I just was having a hard day. It was just, one of those days everything kind of just wasn't coming together.
Uh-huh.
And I did have some like there was some moments when I was having a lot of pain from the betrayal specifically. And he showed up and he stayed with me and listened to me. And the day went on and there were several other things that came up, and he was there, like, without me having to ask, or and at the end of the day I kind of just fell apart, because like these are the times when it's so hard for me to acknowledge that and like you said, I feel like guilt, because I feel like so many other women don't get that. And but I did sit down at the end of the day before we went to bed, when we were going to bed, and I tried my best to just stop and say, hey, thank you for showing up for me today. And it was really hard for me to do that and to have that conversation. I think that's one way I want to move through this, going forward, is trying to do that. And not keeping it in.
Okay.
But letting it out.
So showing some appreciation and acknowledgement is a way of being vulnerable, right? I want to back up a little bit with you and just kind of look at this feeling of, if I get vulnerable again, then it just feels like all the things that I've been through have been kind of swept under the rug and not acknowledged and not validated. My pain hasn't been validated. What do you need, Janelle, in order to feel like, hey, your pain has been seen, and it is real and it's big, and what do you need? What do you need for that?
That's a very good question. it's weird because I like thinking about it. It's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, what is there that could be done? I feel like that's just a huge fear of mine, is that like, if I do move forward and we are trying to like heal, or like I feel like I'm acknowledging his healing or my healing, yeah, that like everything's gonna just be let go and forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why that's so, I don't even know why that's so important to me.
But is there another way to look at it? Right. So your thinking is, if I just smile and be nice and show appreciation and be more vulnerable, then all of the stuff my story would be insignificant. It would be like, well, yeah, I've been through this thing, but guess I got to get over it. Right.
Yeah.
Is there another way to look at this?
I'm guessing yes.
I wouldn't be asking, right?
Yeah, I just can't like, I can't see it or like put my finger on like how I could turn this into something that would be helpful for me or our healing together.
You believe in God?
Yes.
Okay. I know that's from left field, but does God have a hand in what's happening here?
That's a whole nother side of it. I don't know. My relationship with God has been very rocky since this whole thing.
Okay. So there's a breakdown in trust there as well. Well, so that's a loaded question when I asked, does God have a hand in this?
Yeah.
What's coming up for you, Janelle, when I asked that?
Just emotions of being, again, it kind of goes back to the trust, like emotions of just being let down.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to like rebuild some kind of relationship with not only my husband, but with God as well, and learning how to trust him again.
How could God let this happen to you? Right? Or why would God let this happen to you?
I know that sounds like so cliche or like dumb, because like it's not like I've never faced anything before and questioned that before, but it's just been really, really heavy this time.
Well, of course, it's a huge thing, right? It's one of the hardest trials that you'll go through in your life. And betrayal isn't anything that you deserved or anything like that, right? And so it's unfair, and we could look at all of those things. So we could come back and say, God, what the heck? Like, seriously, don't you have my back? Like, where are you at here on this one? But I mean, why am I asking you about God? Do you know?
I don't.
It's interesting, your perspective of God's let me down and I'm having a hard time trusting him, right? Because the reason I'm asking you about God is, and the question I'm going to ask, you might not be ready to hear, But this pain and what you've been through, I believe, is for a reason, and that God is working on you because God needs you. And so if there's no purpose in the pain, and you can't see that purpose, and you're caught up in that, just like, what the heck? Like, I'm going to use the word you don't like. If you're caught up in a victim stance of why me? You know, that question, I say this all the time, why me, can be just in an influx in your voice. It can be why me or why me? Do you see what I'm saying? Why has this been my story? And why me? And here you are on a podcast for a second time, sharing your story, helping other people, opening up, being vulnerable. Little do you know, you're doing a lot more good than you realize because you've been through this hell. You see what I'm saying, Janelle? And so I see you kind of stepping into some of the purpose behind the pain. But in your mind, it's still caught on that kind of betrayal piece with God. And I'm not saying your husband should go out and do the things he did. Like, but the fact of the matter is he did. And now it's part of your story. And now that it's part of your story, you can stay a victim to it, or you can find purpose in it. Right? Do you see what I'm saying? Easier said than done.
Yeah.
So that principle applies in your relationship as well. So a lot of times, if you compare your relationship to like a plate that got dropped, a glass plate, and it shattered, a lot of times the betrayer wants to just like pick up the plate and act like nothing happened. Like, it's fine, see? But the fact of the matter is there's shards all over the place. And piece by piece, it gets put back together. And when it gets glued back together, there's like cracks all throughout that plate, and it looks nothing like it did before. But here's the thing, Janelle, and this is what I've seen many times. That cracked plate that has all the lines through it kind of creates this mosaic look that's actually pretty cool looking and kind of beautiful. And it's definitely different now, and it's going to forever be different. But it's kind of cool now. And you know what? The glue that you used is so strong that the plate's even stronger now than it used to be. And so it will never go back to what it was. So your pain is valid and it's real, and you can't smile at your husband, give him appreciation, then all of a sudden, whoom, off in the wind goes all this pain and all the stuff you've been through. It can't. It will never go back to that. But Janelle, you can stay looking at all the shards on the ground and refuse to put that plate back together because you want and you need validation that happened and that's real. Do you see what I'm saying? Are you following my analogy here?
Yes.
Yeah. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that there's a lot of truth behind that. And that, I think I feel like I have been kind of stuck in a place where it's like looking back instead of like, even though I want to move forward, I keep turning around.
He's like picking up all the pieces and he's holding them in front of you and he's like, hey, look, I'm gluing these together. Like, it's getting better, right? And you're kind of like, yeah, the plate's shattered. Like, it's shattered. Right?
Yes, that's like exactly. Yes. Yeah. And I don't want to be in that position. Like, I know in my heart of hearts that I don't want to just be stuck there. It doesn't feel good.
You wouldn't be asking me this question if that's where you wanted to stay. You recognize this, Janelle. You want to shift into stepping into this, into dealing with it. But so the first thing is to become conscious of what you're doing and be aware that you're doing it. Okay. Let's not do that with any shame or you're not doing anything wrong. You're not bad. None of that. Okay. But let's just be conscious that, hey, I'm keeping it at bay because I want validation in my pain. I'm struggling to find purpose in all of this. And I'm scared to be vulnerable with you because I could get hurt again. Right. Those are just some of the reasons. Okay. That's where you're at. That's okay. That's okay. Now what I would do next is look at what are ways that I really make sure that plate stays on the ground. You know, what behaviors do I do to really not try to step into vulnerability with him? The next thing I would do is be extremely patient with yourself and don't jump in the deep end. Okay. You don't have to be the most vulnerable you possibly can be with him right after our conversation today. But take a step back and just say, okay, I'm going to make a goal. I'm going to do something today that will extend myself a little bit in discomfort. And maybe it's a extra long hug with him, you know, or opening up and really talking about your day and what something was like for you. I'm just giving examples, but just you know, step in the shallow end first, but step into the water. Okay. And then do that a little bit more and a little bit more. And you'll see how he responds to that until next thing you know, you're swimming in the deep end with him. Right. I make it sound so easy, don't I? Just go ahead, Janelle. Yeah.
No, I like that a lot because I feel like sometimes I am not very patient and I just feel like it's like all or nothing. Like, let's do it all or like not do anything. And then I just get stuck, you know? And so I feel like I need to open my mind more to finding smaller opportunities and finding ways that I can be uncomfortable and vulnerable, but not like completely surrender everything to where I lose myself, you know.
This is a process. So engage in the process, and the process is going to come with some bumps and some twists and some turns that you can't see. But then you stay engaged in the process. And the beautiful thing of that process is it really helps you know whether you're safe or not. If you just want it fixed and done and it's all or nothing, you'll never actually get what you truly desire here, right? So it's one step at a time. So I was thinking back, like I went for a jog once and I think I ran like almost a mile. And I was like, the whole time I was running, I was thinking like, I'm going to run a freaking marathon. Like I'm going to run a marathon, you know? And I think I never ran again because in my mind, it's like the marathon is what I got to go do. Like just run a mile, you know, run 2 miles. Just start there. And yeah, it's the same thing here it's a process. And, Janelle, a lot of good things are happening. Can you acknowledge that?
No, yeah, yes.
Okay.
I feel like slowly, step by step, it's like we are not at the same place that we were a year ago, or, I think that was like the hardest part for me a year ago when it was kind of that 1 year mark of D-Day. It was kind of just like, why are we not healed? Like, why are we not fine still? Like, why are we not done and like over all of this? And it's been a really hard year of learning, like what you're saying, like there's an actual process that you have to wade through. And it's not like a jumping in the deep end. It's all right, let's sit down and put our feet in.
Yep. But the beautiful thing, Janelle, is you're recognizing why you've been hesitant to put your feet in. And now that you're recognizing that, now you can do your own work to trust your gut, to know what your truth is versus your fear speaking to you, and put your feet in slowly. And that gives a lot of hope for your relationship to be very different, because you're willing to look at yourself and do your own work here, right? Now, hopefully he continues to do the same thing. And that's where the process will take place and things will get better and better. So there's a ton of hope for this change to happen. It's interesting when you look back, you'll be like, whoa, like we're swimming in the deep end. Like, how did we get here? Like, it happened like piece by piece. Like, we're way down here. This is amazing. But you don't realize you're getting there day in and day out as you do these things. But then all of a sudden it's like, man, life is so much better. Our relationship is so much better. Our trust is so much better. And I would invite you to really examine this relationship with God and the purpose behind all of this for you. Pull out your journal, pray, meditate, spend some time alone in nature, and just talk to God about like, what's going on here? Like, why is this in my life? What am I supposed to learn? Because that will help you as the bumps and the twists and turns come in this process. Instead of you begrudging and saying, why me? And that's that victim place, right? Rather, you'll have a growth mindset to it of, oh, I know why me. And now I'm going to step into this because I'm going to learn and grow from this, right? So, Janelle, anything else you want to add?
No, I don't know. I'm just trying to think, and like, I'm going to have to play this back a few times probably, especially with him too. But, yeah, it's interesting because like you're saying, like on the journey, it's like the things that were big at the beginning are not big things now that we have more hindsight. And then the things that like we didn't really think about before, it's like, whoa, we have to deal with that now.
It's massive in front of you. Yes.
Yeah. And so it's hard, like when things like this come up, or like, it's like, I didn't ever think that like I would have to be vulnerable, like make myself vulnerable like this, or, you don't think about like down the road, like, well, what does fixing your relationship really mean though? You like, we wanted to do it after Discovery Day and we were all gung-ho, but yeah, I think it's really hard to let the process happen and just a little at a time try and put those pieces back together.
Yep. I was watching basketball like this last week, and this player who is a professional basketball player, makes a lot of money playing basketball. He had broken his leg like a year and a half before, and he was just getting on the court again. And I was watching him play, and I'd like cringe every time he'd jump up and go for a layup, because I'm like, man, I don't want him to land wrong on that leg and break it again. Like, yes. Don't do that. Like, and because like I can imagine the rehab that he went through and just the pain and the struggle to get healthy again. And you look at that and you think, well, does that mean that he should never go play basketball again? Right. That's what he was made to do. That's what he's made to do. And his leg had a fracture in it, and hopefully it healed stronger than it before it broke. I mean, it comes back to that same principle we were talking about earlier. He could jump up for a layup and break his leg again. That is a possibility. And he absolutely needs to be on that court again. Right. So Janelle, it's time to get on the court. It's time to take a step in the shallow end, get on the court, all the analogies we can use. Right. So I want to ask you, what's one thing you can do today that you normally would push away from and avoid with your husband, that you can just step in with him?
It's funny that you ask that, because this morning he let me know from work that he has to go on a business trip during our upcoming D-Day anniversary, which is also our wedding anniversary, by the way.
Oh, okay.
That's really bad. So he's not even going to be here that whole weekend. And I have issues with him going on business trips.
Mm-hmm.
And it's our wedding anniversary, technically, and also our D-Day anniversary. And I do not look forward to that. And I kind of have just been brushing it off all day.
Well,
but maybe I need to step into that and actually talk through it with him and let him know how I'm really feeling.
That's excellent. So the normal, you would just brush it off, like, whatever, it's fine, like not go there.
Yeah, I would probably just not go there, not want to talk about it, not want to confront it. But I would this is so typical woman, but I just would give him the silent, not silent treatment, but I know I
kind of passive aggressive. Yeah.
Yes, that.
Rather than going and being vulnerable about how you're feeling. So this one, I wouldn't say put it way on the shallow end. This is in the middle, going toward the deep. But try it. Do it. Absolutely. This is a perfect one. So, yep. Janelle, thank you for coming on and being vulnerable. And it's good to hear from people like you. And it's good to hear if your husband does listen to this. Good job, man. Way to step into your recovery. I don't know everything going on in your recovery, but you're fighting like hell for your wife. And it's good to hear that there's men out there like that. Janelle, you might not hear me hear me say that, but part of you really likes hearing me say that, right?
Ooh, yeah, I do.
Yeah. So I really appreciate kind of where you're at in this whole. You're in the messy middle here, and you're kind of saying, "Gosh, I want to revert back a little bit, step into the messy middle." Work that process, and things are going to get better. So, Janelle, will you come on again, maybe in a little while, and we can kind of see how this goes?
Yeah, I can try that.
Okay. All right. You guys, if this was helpful for you, don't hesitate to share it. Also, you can leave a review, and you can thank Janelle for coming on and being vulnerable with us. And have a wonderful day. We'll see you guys later.